The wrestling world reacts to the passing of Brodie Lee. A new champion is crowned on Smackdown, and the return date for Seth Rollins is set. Hello everyone, Jose G here bringing you today's top stories in today's SK Wrestling News Roundup. The wrestling world reacts to the passing of Brodie Lee. This weekend, All Elite Wrestling took to social media to deliver the heartbreaking news of the passing of Jon Huber. He was known to wrestling fans as Brodie Lee in AEW and Luke Harper in WWE. Starting his wrestling career in 2003, Brodie Lee signed with WWE in 2012 and was introduced in NXT as the first son of the Wyatt family led by Bray Wyatt. The faction made their main roster debut on Monday Night Raw in 2013 and went on to have a dominant run. During this time in WWE, Brodie Lee won the Intercontinental Championship, NXT Tag Team Championships, and the Smackdown Tag Team Championships twice with their other Wyatt family members. He was released from his WWE contract on December 8th of 2019, and on March 18th of episode of Dynamite, Brodie Lee made his surprise debut for the promotion, revealing himself to be the Exalted One, the leader of the Dark Order. He unsuccessfully challenged Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship. Then on August 22nd, Brodie Lee defeated Cody Rhodes in a dominating fashion to win the AEW TNT Championship, which he held for 55 days before dropping it back to Rhodes. He was absent from AEW TV recently due to an undisclosed injury. Several WWE superstars and AEW wrestlers have reacted to the shocking and heartbreaking news of Brodie Lee passing away at the age of 41. Many have shared heartfelt backstage photos with him, revealing how much they are shocked to know the sudden passing of a great friend. Brodie Lee has left an impact on the wrestling industry and will never be forgotten. From everyone here at SK Wrestling, our thoughts and prayers are with the Huber family. Rest in power, Brodie Lee. Big E is crowned the new Intercontinental Champion on Smackdown. Big E reigned supreme over Sami Zayn to become the new WWE Intercontinental Champion on this week's Christmas tapings of SmackDown. Big E defeated Zayn in a lumberjack match, ending the Great Liberator's reign and becoming a two-time WWE Intercontinental Champion. This is the New Day's member's first single title since his first Intercontinental Championship reign back in 2014. Big E would end the final episode of SmackDown in 2020 with a victory and a championship around his waist. The match itself seemed evenly poised for a time, with both Sami Zayn and Big E exchanging some big offense. However, Zayn would have the upper hand thanks to some of the Lumberjacks who chose to attack E every time he exited the ring. The same would apply to Sami Zayn, but in a not so violent manner. In fact, it was part in thanks to the Lumberjacks that Big E would become WWE Intercontinental Champion. As Zayn attempted to flee the match, some of the Lumberjacks would drag the Great Liberator back and throw him into the ring. This allowed Big E to capitalize and hit the big ending to become the new Intercontinental Champion. It's great to see Big E find success on his first single run since being separated from Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. The future looks bright for the new Intercontinental Champion, and hopefully this is the beginning of a long and prosperous title reign. The latest on Pat McAfee's status with WWE. The WWE Universe received some weird news on Christmas Day. It was reported by Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer that the company had chosen to remove Pat McAfee from NXT television for the time being. McAfee has been a bright spot on NXT programming in 2020, forming a stable with Pete Dunne and the NXT Tag Team Champions Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. So his removal from television came to a surprise to many. On the latest edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, it was said that there is no heat between McAfee and WWE management. The decision simply came down to not wanting to use the former NFL punter on a regular basis. It is certainly a strange decision because if this was the case, why put him in a prominent stable on NXT television to begin with? Despite it all, McAfee seems to be taking everything in his stride. He has tweeted about the news that broke over the holidays, stating, quote, "I think I got fired on Christmas," end quote. There's no current timetable known as to when McAfee will return to NXT, but it seems like it's more of a matter of when and not if it, since there is no heat on either side of the equation. Considering McAfee's absence from NXT TV for the foreseeable future, it'll be interesting to see how this affects his stablemates in Lorcan, Burch, and Dunn heading into 2021. It will certainly be a story worth keeping your eye on. Daniel Bryan officially announced announces his entry to the 2020 Royal Rumble match. Daniel Bryan became the first WWE superstar to announce his entry into the Men's Royal Rumble match. In a backstage interview with Kayla Braxton, Bryan made clear his intention to win the upcoming Men's Royal Rumble match, claiming it is the next big thing he wants to achieve in his WWE career. Daniel Bryan had just come off a huge comeback victory over Jey Uso. Uso had attacked the former world champion from behind before their match got underway. However, this would not stop Bryan, who in classic fashion would fight back to secure the victory over Jey Uso. Following his huge victory over Jey Uso, Daniel Bryan would head backstage where Kayla Braxton was waiting to interview him. It was at this point that the submission specialist made clear his intention to enter the Men's Royal Rumble match next month. This would make Daniel Bryan the first official entrant into the men's match and the upcoming Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Despite the plethora of achievements Daniel Bryan has had in WWE, winning the Royal Rumble is truly the one thing that has eluded him. In fact, there was major criticism towards WWE back in 2015 when Daniel Bryan was the favorite to win the whole thing. However, much to the shock and anger of the WWE Universe, Bryan was eliminated in quick time. Hopefully, Daniel Bryan will be able to achieve his dream and finally win the Royal Rumble. Seth Rollins' return date is revealed. WWE superstar Seth Rollins is returning on the January 1st edition of Friday Night Smackdown. Rollins has been absent from WWE TV ever since we saw him sacrificing himself for the greater of good at Survivor Series. The former Universal Champion had donned the gimmick of the Messiah around a year ago and showed shades of the same at the event during the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match. He allowed Sheamus to put him down and cover him for the pin, thus leading this to his elimination. Although in the storyline, Seth Rollins sacrificed himself for the greater good, in reality he was set to take time off after the birth of his first child with fellow WWE superstar Becky Lynch. The couple was engaged last year, with Becky going on hiatus due to her pregnancy immediately after WWE Money in the Bank. It would be interesting to find out what Seth Rollins has to say about what he did at Survivor Series and what his next goal is in WWE SmackDown. Rollins had previously stated that he has his eyes on the Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Will we see a confrontation between these two former Shield members on the upcoming edition of SmackDown? We're gonna have to tune in to the new year to find out. Thanks for watching today's SK Wrestling News Roundup. For more stories, follow us on all social media. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Download the Sportskeeda app for the most up-to-date stories in the world of wrestling.